Hey guys, welcome to the Real Life School podcast, where I talk about money, real estate, life, and all the things that weren't taught in school. Okay, today's episode, I'm going to be talking about why do people come to the United States? I'm going to be talking about the legal process. I'm going to talk about the illegal process. I'm going to talk about why they come, how they come, where they go, and why they do the things that they do. And it's just an observation on my part, but we have a lot of people that are very upset about people coming to the United States. We have a lot of people that welcome the idea of people coming to the United States. But before you can develop your own opinion, I think it's super important to understand the scenario. I think when you understand the situation where people are coming here for whatever reason, you're able to formulate a more intelligent response because you're able to see it from somebody else's perspective. So today's podcast is going to be, why do people come to the United States? So I think what better way to open up is, let's talk about the money. Let's talk about the safety. Let's talk about the living conditions. Let's talk about why parents are dragging their kids through very unique situations, whether it's legally or illegally, to the United States. I mean, you have so many people coming from the Middle East and people from South America in droves. Okay. Why do you think they're coming here? Well, in my opinion, I have seen firsthand people that are here legally on visas, and they have shared with me the real threats for their children where they're coming from in their home countries. I travel a lot and use Uber and Lyft, and a lot of them are foreigners that are here working legally, and I'm asking them how long they've been here and why are they here. And a lot of their responses are obviously for the money, right? We talked about it. The money is what brings people here, minimum wage and cost of living and all this other stuff, but really just a better life in general. Their living conditions are typically better here. The safety and security for themselves, not just their kids. These are all reasons why people come to the United States. They think of the American dream. They think of entrepreneurship. They think about opening up that deli, that restaurant, that, whatever. They have these dreams because that is what we've done for the last 100 years. So I don't blame them for wanting to come here. It's a dumb moment. If they're living in a place where their kids are threatened, they don't know if they're going to be kidnapped or murdered or trafficked. The parents aren't making enough money to, buy a quality home with air conditioning or heating, depending on where they live. The amenities and health conditions are so much better here than majority of the other locations across the world. So the reason why they come here is just better quality of life. Duh, right? It's a duh moment. Like we have running water. We don't have in most places, right? I'm talking for the 90%. Big cities, right? Urban areas. They have sewer systems, so it's sanitary. They're not, using the restroom in a hole, right? You have running water typically from the city, which is drinkable. I know it's probably going to be debatable for a lot of other people, but you can drink the tap water still. All right. I know we could talk about fluoride and all that stuff. It'd be another podcast for another day. But they come here for a better quality of life. And a lot of them were raised a lot differently as children, but now they're parents and they have children. They're thinking, I'm just going to get to the United States. If I could just get here, then I know that my kids will automatically have it better than they did. And that's typically an accurate comment. It's typically an accurate statement. And I do believe that. That's the truth. So how do people come here? Okay. Obviously, they can come here legally, filing paperwork, visas, work visas. And then number two, they can come here illegally. I have had, gosh, an incredible experience with so many people that are actually here illegally, but they are working their ass off. They may take that money and send it home. They may take that, keep that money here. They may, try and buy their kids' vehicles. They're just trying to build up a better life with better living conditions here in the United States. So there's so many avenues with what they do with that money when they get here. Another podcast for another time, but I want to talk about how do they get here. So legally, we all know the legal way to do something typically is saturated with tons of paperwork. And you're dealing with people that are, forgive me for saying this, may not be on par with the legal structure. I understand there's checklists. I understand all of the rules and regulations, but these people are coming from typically a less educated country, and it can feel very daunting, right? So right off the bat, they want to come here legally, totally blocked and road checked and anxiety and stress and all that stuff. So they hire an attorney, more money out of pocket. Then you have the illegal people that come here, or they have a visa that just expired and they're here illegally. I've met both. I've worked with both, and I've seen some incredible characteristic traits. I've seen people appreciate this country in other ways than most that were born and raised here, that don't understand the adversity and the issues that people face just to come and become a citizen here. I've known people that have been here for 15 years that are illegal but provide an incredible service. They have a heart, they have compassion, they're incredible in their profession. I mean, truly remarkable people that don't even lay a hand compared to somebody else that was born and raised here. They just work differently. They want to be here because they know what it's like not to be here. This is a hard topic for a lot of other people. And I wanted to do this podcast about it because it is a major issue with the border states, as it should be. I mean, where do legal people go when they come here to the United States? Where do they typically go? Well, what would you think of the United States if you're a foreigner? You'd probably think of Washington, D.C., New York City, Los Angeles, all these things that are portrayed in the movie industry that foreign countries will watch of the United States. And that's why they assimilate with the United States like that. So they go to Washington, D.C., they go to New York, Las Vegas, all those sort of big mainstream media locations. That is for the people that want to come here legally or on a work visa. Obviously, if they're here illegally, it's the border states. So you got California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. And when they've traveled thousands of miles potentially, they're so frantic just to step foot in the United States. They figured, as long as I can just think about faith, if I could just set foot here in the United States, I know it'll be better. I know that the system will take better care of my children than where they had come from. And theoretically, that is true. I know there's an argument with what's going on today, but the border states are typically overrun with people coming illegally. I mean, it could take a 5-minute ride. It could take, thousands of dollars to hire a coyote and get you across the desert. I mean, there are so many ways for these people to come here illegally. And as soon as they're here, they either bed down because they have to pay the money that was promised to get them here, or they jet northbound, into New Mexico north or Colorado north or Utah north, if that makes sense. I'm talking northern portions of those states. But you got people here illegally and legally, and doing it the right way is taking some of these people years to go through the process, thousands of dollars to hire an attorney, to have it just go through the checks and balances. No wonder a lot of people don't want to come here legally. It's just easier to just roll the dice and see if they can get through undetected illegally, right? And why? Why? Remember, go back to the very beginning. Why are they coming here? To have a better quality of life. Duh. Fear for their children, a dream for their children to make it, in this thing called the United States of America. Quality of life, safety, security, right? Here is the problem. Okay, I paint that picture, why they come here, how they come here. But the problem arises that when they come here, they don't leave all the bad habits. They don't leave all the bad ethics or lack thereof, and are unable to develop the American standard way of life. Why? Because nobody's teaching them. Nobody has sat them down and said, you're here legally. Here's the basics of finance. Figure it out. They understand finance in terms of food, shelter, clothing, because those are needs, but not to better their life long term. The problem is they turn that typical community into the life, the village, the city, the tribe, wherever they came from. They turn it into the old place that they were living, because nobody did a warm handoff. Nobody taught them when in Rome, right? You show up and you've heard that saying, when in Rome. Well, it's to start to conform, for lack of a better word, to the way of life. An example, a lot of people don't understand that walking across the street is illegal in some states. And there's a safer way to do it. We have crosswalks with signs that say, hey, there's a hand to stop, or there's a white dude that walks across the street to say, yeah, you're good to walk. The reason why is because these cars here in the United States are going 45 to 65 miles an hour. Whereas where you came from, or where they came from, they typically don't have those types of vehicles across the world. So you guys come here and you start to jaywalk. You cause and disrupt the standard way of life that actually, when used, works. And it's for your safety. Spent a lot of money, a lot of years, a lot of tax dollars paying for the public transit system, the safety for people to walk and ride bicycles in these communities. That's the problem. When people come here, they can't shed all the bad traits or all those time savers from where they came from, because it's a rat race. It was a rat race there to make a living for food, shelter, clothing. It's a rat race here to make more money, provide a better life. I mean, the whole point of this podcast is for people to understand finally from somebody else's perspective. And we're going to have somebody come on the show here soon to talk about it. And I want you to hear it from them. But they're here to buy a home. They're here to share in that American dream. But nobody really helped them when they step foot here, because everybody else is just chasing the American dream plus more, which is crazy. This is the greatest country in the world. The United States of America is the greatest country in the world. Yeah, we have our issues. Yes, we have our division. Yes, we have our opinions. But when you look at the safety, the security, the quality of life, the education as a whole, the United States of America is the greatest country in the world. And we've forgotten that. And the people that are literally, and I'm talking about families, talking about moms with kids, I'm talking about husbands and wives with their young kids trying to come here. They're trying to provide a better life that was given to them. And I don't blame them. It's just we have a problem. We make the system near impossible and costly to do it the right way. I understand that there's more to the story, but if we're going to facilitate the inevitable, meaning people come to the United States for an American dream, we should probably make it a little bit easier for them to do that. And I'm speaking secondhand, knowing multiple people and families across the United States where I've lived, because I was in the Marine Corps and got PCS'd everywhere. I was able to see these families, and they're good. They're good families. They got a great heart. They mean no harm. They just want to live the American dream like us. So I want to end or somewhat close on this. When you go to Washington, D.C. nowadays, and I just lived there for the last 2-3 years, it does not seem like the United States of America. And the reason why is that when foreigners come here, they think of these locations as America. You don't see Kansas or Iowa on these big films. You see political, you see action, you see cameras, lights in, California, Las Vegas, New York City. Doesn't those locations these days seem like a different country? It's because it kind of is. These people are coming here and they're not able to fall in line with the American standard. And I understand it's a melting pot, but right now, just telltale sign, just take a drive through some of these big cities. Tell me what you see. Do you see them thriving, or do you see them just barely surviving? I think it's time to start helping these people that are coming here. All right? They understand their needs, the food, shelter, clothing, but they don't understand the long-term savings budget. They don't understand retirement. They can't even fathom retirement, because if you go to these other countries where they come from, they don't have people that are old. I'm talking Africa. I've been to Africa a few times, and let me tell you, you don't see too many people above the age of 50 or 60. Why? Because they just die. They don't have the health care. That's another reason why they come here. The quality of health care. Okay? But it does seem like it's a different country in some of these states, because a lot of these foreigners, legal or illegal, think of the United States and they go to what they saw on film. I've said it multiple times. So, I've always said this. We are not entitled to complain unless we're willing to do something about it. So I am making this quick podcast, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, to remind you, why do people come here? How do they come here? What good habits, bad habits do they bring? And what can you do to help them? The only way to complain and do it in a way that is productive is being able to see the big picture. You have to see it from their perspective. They have to also see it from our perspective, right? There's got to be a mutual understanding. That's a whole, everybody talks about communication, keyword, buzzword. Well, in order to communicate, you have to be able to understand, listen, and hear what the other person is trying to say, even if they're not saying it that way. So this podcast is just a reminder on we got people coming here, and they're coming here because they want a better life for themselves and for their kids. Safety, cleanliness, water, clean water. So we come to this conclusion that instead of just complaining, hey, illegals are coming here in droves, yeah, I got it. Well, it's up to those that are in the position of power in order to see the big picture and put in place processes that are humanitarian and also accommodating. Because eventually those people will raise revenue, will create an income, and eventually pay taxes if you allow it. Now, we can do another podcast for another time for some ideas on how to expedite your legal citizenship in terms of a monetary equivalent. I got some great ideas. But in order to come up with these good ideas, people have to understand both sides of the story. These people just want a better life. And I want you to understand that. Yeah, it's frustrating when they, cross the road when there's a crosswalk, 20 yards away and you're going 45 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour. It's because they just don't know. So people got to educate them. So I'm here to help you with your finances. If you're here illegally, I have a few friends, people that I love very much that are here illegally that I'm helping trying to buy a house eventually, but they got to go through the long process to become a citizen first. They got to start to file their taxes appropriately, show income appropriately, start to build a credit portfolio so one day they can achieve that American dream. And for me, it's a job you love, a place to call home, and some money in your pocket. So if you know somebody that's struggling, that's here illegally, that needs some help financially, I'm not biased. If you're a hard worker, I'm here for you. If you're somebody that wants to strive and make this place better, I'm on board. Let me know what you need. Okay. I know what it's like to try and grind on your own, and it's not fun. Okay. Let me help you guys achieve the American dream. Okay. So if you find this podcast helpful, at least you get a glimpse of seeing it from somebody else's perspective. And before you start complaining and being upset, and I'm sure people that are here are dealing with circumstances where immigrants are making their American dream harder. I get that. So we got a lot of issues here. But in order to fix an issue, you have to be able to see it from both sides. And both parties also need to be open-minded and consider the way forward for a common goal. End goal, end objective, better quality of life for their family and for their kids and their kids' kids. So reach out to me if you like this podcast or you feel like somebody needs to hear it or speak to me directly. You can find this podcast at reallifeschool.com. Please follow, subscribe, like all the social media platforms. I talk about the money because it's a tool. I talk about the real estate because everybody needs a place to live. But really the life aspect is what it's all about. You only have so much time here with your life, and so many people are just heads down grinding for a paycheck. I want them to live a fruitful life. I know that not everybody has the same time, talents, or treasures, but everybody's got something.